If we do not see that we have been deceived, then we'll believe whatever BS we're handed. The BS belief systems, they have landed in the subconscious that we're sharing. And it was just recently told to me that we actually have a collective subconscious, not collective conscious, because the stuff that we've been thrust full of would lie below the surface because we've been told it's not safe to emotionally regulate ourselves. We need a pill, chill by taking a pill, and you'll feel less willful because you're no longer yourself fully. You've been diluted. Well, who wants to be diluted? It's not great to die nor be looted. So let's not let ourselves be diluted, and instead we'll stand as we really are, because we've learned to stand as we are without trying to be more or less, because we know we're enough as we are. And when we're willing to star in our own show, that's when we know we're the ones we've always been waiting for. Not always, because not in all ways. ALL ways would. We want to actually rescue ourselves, because sometimes it's nice to be served by another selfless soul who just loves us. The service is not served with ice, just like the police would say when they say freeze. Change your state, freeze. I will stay as I am in my substance. I will stand as a woman and say the jurisdiction you play in is only with my person, and that is not me. You cannot pay person when I'm a daughter, so I'm not even one. A person, do I even qualify? That's what we'll have to defy or deny or try to prove and say you've officially become what you do when you were converted into status that would have you do the thing you do as what you are, instead of be the woman you see doing the thing that I do. Instead, the status would have me become just that, and then all of the expectations that go with it. Salutations to the false image, the persona, the persons, the masks that would have us not see the bigger plan. Do you see the grand plan in the scheme of things? It's time to land in the moment. I hope you enjoyed it so far. The story starts where we are. And sometimes the best way to come back to the moment is to sing or hum or tone or break up the energy. That's why baby's love rattles, it breaks up the energy as they're learning mastery of the emotions. They're definitely not there yet when they're just a baby, but they get to see how we deal with our own shit in their mix, and then say, baby, this is how you do it, the way mommy or daddy or auntie, uncle, or babysitter, cousin, brother, sister, whatever it be, the role that we play to one another. Roles require respect so we can contribute and get to the point where I stop singing for tonight. Woo! My voice cracks right in the moment. Would you imagine that? So that was my song for 15 minutes, yo. I hope you enjoyed. In my view, I do see Alan Watts's The Wisdom of Insecurity. I do want to just read to you on the chapter V on being aware. No, that would be 10 on being aware. Then. Okay, so when I catch up with my own self, let's get on with it then. The question, what shall we do about it, is only asked by those who do not understand the problem. If a problem can be solved at all, to understand it and to know what to do about it are the same thing. On the other hand, doing something about a problem which you do not understand is like trying to clear away darkness by thrusting it aside with your hands. When light is brought, the darkness vanishes at once. It says B-R-O-U-G-H-T, brout, but I don't know. When the light is brought, that was not what it was, which was why it didn't make sense at first. And then when I caught up with myself yet again, then it made sense. Do you see how we don't always get it right away, and then we have to replay to say, oh, okay, now I get it. When light is brought, the darkness vanishes at once. That is akin to the book I wrote, Marianne Williamson's book, Our Deepest Fear, which if you have not read it, draw near the fire, baby, because it is a good one. It starts by saying our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, talented, gorgeous, and fabulous? Actually, you are a child of God. You are meant to shine as children do. We're all meant to shine. Fast forward. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. I want to tell you that to do what I just have done tonight, if it doesn't impress you, well, hats off to who else you get entertained by, because honestly, that is a production that I just get out of my own way for and I let it go. And I also have more than a decade worth of experience to draw from, over 900, almost in 50 videos on YouTube alone, not to mention the countless YouTube or Facebook lives that I used to do, because I was pretty obsessive with posting online. My online identity became more important to me than my real life because I didn't have much going on. So I really wanted to make it look like I, was further ahead because I was trying to help people get further ahead. And if I wasn't, then how could I help other people, right? Well, the coaching industry is pretty dangerous in some ways for those who have invested to be able to help other people get where, generally speaking, we get because we help other people get there, or we promise that we do, or we have done it, or we team up with somebody. But ultimately, we're all really doing our best to act like we've got our stuff together. And sometimes we do it better than others. Sometimes our divine giftedness means that we're aligned in what we're doing, such as what I am. I was born for this. It's not something that I chose specifically, it chose me. I do this without getting paid because I have felt like warriors need to be able to recognize one another, for one, and be able to receive some of the downloads or drops or concepts that come into my consciousness that I say, like, whoa, that's brilliant. I didn't originate it, but whoa, I am happy to be the one to relay it so that others are able to say it. And then we build the vision, because that's how it works. Compounded interest is compounded energy. The more we've invested into something because of repetition, the more energy that accrues, and then the bigger that it grows, just like a gestalt, which is ultimately the whole mythos that goes with the symbol that we see and say, oh, hey, I know all of that goes with that, such as the concept of God and religion. The two are not even equal by any measure. For religion is the religioning of men and women based on BS, belief systems that have made them think we're talking about different things, when the reality is we're all in this together. We're all riding the same wave in either the same storm, or it's just a different variation of the aftermath of that which is impacting the whole. Where pan means all and demos comes from the Greek word for demic or demos. Demic comes from demos, which is people. So the demos is the people, and pan means all. So the pandemic is affecting all people all over the globe, whether it's round, whether it's flat, whether it's hollow, whether it's solid. I don't know. And I don't know how relevant that is to me. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make to me in the scheme of things to really know. Other than from a visualization perspective, when I'm trying to ground myself at the deepest layer or level, and I'm trying to get myself into ground with the center of the earth, which I always thought was to be molten, but even the eye of the storm, in the eye of a tornado or hurricane, it's gentle, it's calm. Everything else around it is chaotic, but in the very center point, it's said to be completely still. And the same is true in the heart. There's a center point where even heart surgeons know that if they touch that part in the heart, it lights out, because that's where the soul sits. It's like that's the connection. You can't put metal to that or artificial to that, or you're going to get electrocuted. It's just, you can't match those things. And if we don't see how all of this connects back to the nervous system, the electricity, this is what we must actually learn how to trust ourselves again using. For if we learn how to use our nervous system responsibly, where we're able to respond to situations because we say, oh my God, okay, this is going on in me. When I started saying what I just did was impressive because I'm impressed by it, okay, I'm patting myself on the back, and not in a conceited way, because there's conceit and there's confidence. Conceit is needing to be better than someone else. So, me to say what I just did is better than so and so's. Well, I don't know anyone else doing what I do, how I do it, what I'm saying, the message that I'm delivering, the way that I'm delivering. I don't know anyone else who's doing it. And even if there were other people that were doing it the way that I am, I wouldn't necessarily look to them to see how I should do it, because that would be like lining up at the starting line of a race and then looking at my competition, wondering how fast they're going to go as to how fast I need to go in order to beat them. Well, the alternative is to, yeah, sure, see the competition and the others who are also starting at the starting line, to bless them also, for they are about to run the race that you are. And then ultimately, you turn to your higher self and call on that aspect of yourself. Get me to the end point as fast as we can possibly go. Get me to the prize. Right on time, and trust that it will be exactly the way that it was meant to be. But if you look to somebody else, if I were to look to somebody else and then wonder how I'm doing, don't get me wrong, comparison is a pretty normal default. I don't know whether it's natural, because normal and natural are not the same. And natural is inbuilt, whereas normal just seems that way because it's been repeated so many times that it feels pretty natural. But normal is not natural necessarily, but natural is not always normal at all. Look at the insanity of all that's going around now. Don't deal with your emotions. Don't feel that. You're feeling sad. You're feeling low. You're calling back parts of your soul that were left in not now moments, that you didn't know how to deal with that part of yourself before. So you told it to shut up and get into a corner and get into the closet, and you locked that door and you trapped it in there all those years ago. And now it's coming back and you expect it to be happy or even just okay being back in and around the very one that put them into that situation in the first place all those years years ago, not to mention all of the other traumatized children that they heard around them who also got locked in a room nearby, I hear ringing. It's significant. If it's hitting home, give this message a like, please. And if you haven't shared it with a friend that needs to hear this message, not because specifically of that part, but ultimately, emotional resilience is how we connect to the nervous system, which is how we hack the mainframe of this simulacrum. Imagine, just imagine you're the magi of your own world, which is the magician. Imagine that you could create worlds. Now, I want you to think of the most recent video game that you played, if that's a reality for you. Or if you work, I want you to think of that reality. If you go to the gym, I want you to think of that reality. Or if you're involved in some kind of community service organization or cult, which is just a culture, the culture you are part of, the culture of the societies or fraternities, sororities, organizations, institutions, agencies, whatever it is that you gain your identities from. Can you realize how you are actually creating your own identity in each of those different places? People perceive you in a different way based on your role in each of those different areas. So you already are a creator of worlds. You have a work world, you have a home world, you have a gym world, you have a whatever world. You have as many worlds as you choose to invest your energy into. That's the record. For the record, will you be recorded into an gestalt, into a whole body of BS that's associated with being a member of that tribe? Or will you break away and find your own individualism? Will you actually come to your own conclusions about things? This is what self-respect allows us to do. This is also what a strong inner web allows us to do, because our inner web, our inner web is our self-worth, self-esteem, and self-belief. We pluralize it by adding the S on inner webs to make it about our sense of inner security, which is different from insecurity. Insecurity is when we don't feel safe at home within our own selves. Within the cells of us, we don't feel safe in these cells. So then we turn to groups outside of ourselves and then oftentimes wind up in cells because the group will always push the individual out at the individual's expense if the group is threatened. The tribe will sacrifice the individual for the sake of the tribe and the tribal BS if that is necessary. Hopefully not. Some cults, some communities care more about its people than others. But this is where we have to start really getting connected to our intuition. And the teacher our soul hired ahead of time, which is the very same one we look up to when we're standing at the starting line with all of these other excellent athletes in the game of life, in whatever area of the game it is that you are focused on and starring in the moment that you are at the metaphoric contest line or start line, race line. You tune into the highest version of yourself. Your intuition is there to guide you, always has been, inbuilt, intuition paid ahead of time, already in you. You brought the gift with you, which is how you will actually be able to feel the resonance of truth. Did you realize you will be able to feel the resonance of truth when you actually allow yourself to be the one that streamed live, even when it wasn't how you thought it was going to go? Half an hour ago now, I started this message and I didn't expect to sing. I didn't expect to talk about the things that I did, but I've done it because that was where the flow took me. And I go with the river, because when we resist, it's like trying to paddle upstream. You know, it's a gift when we actually let ourselves drift with the river, so long as there's not a big waterfall at the end of that river that is where we're going. So being aware of our environment is very important. And today, Jordy and I were talking, and he mentioned environment, and then it was the first time it was like environment. Ment is for the mind, for the mental body, and en being in, so far as what I see that to be. And if you see it en to be a different meaning, then please do leave a comment. I would appreciate that, receive value from that, and say thank you very much in advance. But the Viron is actually connected to virion, or there's an extra I in there, that would make it about a virus, ironically, or an aspect of it, apparently the cyst expression of a virus. But I still definitely need to learn more about all of that because I'd never even known the word virion before. But what is also interesting is that Viron itself is said to be a male's name. And um, what is interesting, as I need to do more look into this, but our names are so important. Those are tied to our titles. Those are tied to the roles that we identify with.